Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Kelly and this is Kel-Cav Beauty. Here I talk about all things beauty, makeup, lifestyle, and even some career advice thrown in there every once in a while. I upload new videos every Sunday at 12 Eastern Standard Time, and you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at Kel-Cav Beauty. You all have probably already noticed that I look a little different than I have in my other videos. Guess what? I don't have on any makeup right now. No makeup. Yes, that's how serious I am about showing you all how I get ready in the morning. And that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be doing the first Kel-Cav Beauty Get Ready With Me. I am so excited about this. So far, you all have heard me talking about the makeup I wear and the different colors that I apply, but you haven't seen it in action. Well, that's what we're going to do today, is I'm going to show you how I do my makeup, and we're also going to talk about some other things while we do this. I'm really hoping that these Get Ready With Me's will be something that I do monthly, and not only will I be talking about makeup, but other things that are going on that month that I want to share with you all. Let's go ahead and get started with this. We're going to start with the makeup, and remember last week I told you all that I would be doing this week, doing this Get Ready With Me, and I would be combining some of the products that I talked about in my past two videos. In my first video where I talked about my makeup starter kit, that was mainly drugstore makeup, and then the makeup I started purchasing when I started to buy high-end products. Today is going to be a combination of both of those. Now, I'm not saying that I picked my favorite out of either of them. I just picked the ones that I thought would go well together this morning. I do already have on my moisturizer. My skin is already prepped. So we're going to get started first with primer. And the primer I'm going to start with is going to be this Revlon. This is the Photo Ready Prime Plus Brightening and Skin Tone Evening Primer. Now, what I do with this when I put it on is I just do one pump of it. This does come with a pump. And what I'll do is I'll just put it in dots around my face. Usually put one on each of my cheeks, one on my forehead, one on my nose, and then one down on my chin. And then I'll blend that in. So I've got a little mirror I'm going to be using for this video. And so yeah, I just come in. Of course, usually I'm using two hands for this, but I'll just come in, spread this around evenly. I don't really take this up under my eyes here. I already have eye cream on. By the way, I meant to mention this already. You guys may have noticed my eye looks a little bit red, this one right here. I actually, this past week, had a sty. My first ever. I had never had a sty, you all. So I'm being very careful about what I put on around that. Don't really know what caused it. Yeah, I will warn you all, they're very sore. If you've ever had a sty before, you probably know they're very sore. So I'm kind of babying that a little bit. It has, I am on the downward turn of it. It's actually looking better than it did a couple days ago. So I know it's healing. We're kind of more in the itchy phase of it right now. It still looks pretty red, but I still wanted to do this makeup today, this tutorial. So just hopefully here soon when I get some coverage on that, it'll look a little bit better. So I've got my primer on. That just kind of sets my face. Got that spread in there. Gives a little bit of that brightening. Then I actually do this a little bit out of order than what other people you'll see do this. A lot of people do their foundation and then they do their concealer. I actually learned for myself, I prefer to do my concealer first and then my foundation. The reason is, again, I've talked about this with you all. I do have baggy under eyes. I don't like a lot of makeup under there. So if I do my foundation first, I try not to get any foundation under my eyes, but it's kind of hard. I find that if I've already done my concealer and even bring that down a little bit, I have less of a chance of getting more product on underneath my eyes. So that's what I have found works best for me. The concealer I'm going to be using today is this one from IT Cosmetics. And again, this is the one that has the long name. This is the IT Bye Bye Under Eye Full Coverage Anti-Aging Waterproof Concealer. All of that. Again, I just use a tiny, tiny little dab of this. Let me show you all. Let me put it out on my pinky and I'll show you literally. That's it. That's all I use. And so what I do is I actually take my pinkies and I rub them together. And that kind of starts to warm that makeup up. Then I'll take that and I put it right in the corner here, focusing most of it there. And then I'll bring just a little bit out, just a little bit. Then I spread that in. I've got this concealer brush. That's what I start applying that in with. So I'll take that brush and I just kind of start just taking that back and forth and then bringing it in under my eye here. Same on the other side. Just kind of rub that in and then bringing it in. You don't want a lot of product right underneath the eye. So that's why I concentrate most of it right here where I do have some darkness. And right now with this wonderful sty, a little bit of redness, unfortunately, on this side. So that just kind of helps to bring it in there. Then once I've spread it in that way, I've got one more step. I'll actually then take my pinkies and then I just take them, because my fingers are pretty warm, and I just kind of press in. And that helps that concealer from settling. I still have some coverage, but it just kind of helps to blend it in by warming that up and spread that in. Let me take a look. Yes, that looks good. My sty is still a little bit red, unfortunately. I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of that part. But that kind of helps to cover up that under eye darkness. Let's move on to my foundation. The foundation I'm going to wear today is this one from L'Oreal. And this is the Infallible 24-hour foundation, fresh wear foundation. Again, I have this in the shade 420, which was True Beige. This does come with a pump. And I typically use about 1 to 1.5 pumps of this. I'll just put this, a lot of people put it on the back of their hand. You all, I'm not coordinated enough for that, okay? That'll be running all over, because this is a little bit of a runnier texture. I put it right in my hand. I'll do about 1.5 pumps. Then what I like to do is I just dot that around my face. I'll take some and I'll just start putting it right there and right there. I tend to do 3 dots. I don't know why. And then I'll do 3 dots on my forehead, 1 on my nose, some on my chin. Then I'll put 1 here. Typically right here. I still have a little bit left, so I might come around, up around the backs of my cheeks there. And that's it. And then I'll just wipe the rest of that off. Then I told you all that the way I like to apply this is with a sponge. I have moistened this sponge, so you can probably tell that increased in size quite a bit when I did that. And then what I'll do is I just come in with this, and I just start dabbing that in. And I just do kind of little dabbing motions like this. Start blending that all in my face. And again, this feels really nice. This foundation has a very thin consistency. It doesn't feel heavy on the face, but it does give me a lot of coverage. And I'll show you all in a moment here when I get done dabbing away. Take a look at it. Oh, my hair's coming loose here. Do y'all remember these little clips here back in the 90s? These were really popular. I still have some. I don't know how they survived. But I find since I have short hair, these work really well to hold my hair back. I don't really come up too much on my lids, but just making sure that's all set in. I do come down a little bit on my jaw, make sure that's applied well there. Come up in my hairline. I even come onto my ears just a little bit. Okay, take a look at that. So you can see that gives me a good coverage. I do have a little bit of discoloration along my jawline here. And so that helps to cover that, just helps to blend everything in. Let's take a look at that again. Oh yeah, that looks good. Okay, and there we go. Again, really love this foundation. Feels really good on the skin. Doesn't feel like I have a very heavy coat on, but enough that I'm getting some coverage on there. Then the last thing for my face product is going to be a little bit of powder. And the one I'm going to be using today is this one from KVD Vegan Cosmetics. Again, I have this in the shade, this is the Lock It Setting Powder in Translucent. And this is the mini size. There is a much larger size than this. But what I like to do with this is I just take a tiny little bit. I've got a brush here. This is Real Techniques. And I just barely dip it in there. Just get a tiny little bit on the end. And then what I like to do is I'll take that lid and I'll just kind of swoosh it around in there. That kind of sets it in that brush, tap it a little bit because I don't want a whole lot. And then I'll take that, and again, I just take it right down my nose, take it down a little bit into my pores, cover those up a bit. I come up to my little bit above my eyes here, and that's it. I do not set my eyes, especially right now with this sty. I don't think that would feel very good. I don't set my eyes. Again, just kind of blending that in there. And that is it, you all. Now again, if you've got oilier skin, you may want to apply more of that setting powder. I do not. I tend to range on the normal to sometimes dry side, so I don't like to put on a whole lot of powder. And that has got my face taken care of. So now we're going to move on and start putting on some color, because right now I'm probably looking a little pale. We need to brighten this baby up. What I'm going to be using for that is my Too Faced Natural Face Palette. Showed you all this last week, everything in here. One thing I noticed for you all, I apologize, I was blinding you all with my mirror, so I'm going to start putting this, let's try it this way. I'm going to start trying to do this way. There are those colors. And I think what I'm going to use today for my first thing I'm going to put on is my bronzer, and I'm going to use that Sunny Honey. What I like to apply my bronzer with, I've got a couple of different brushes, but today I'm going to use this one. This is also from LaRousse, and it's an angled brush. This is a great brush to kind of get that little bit of a contour look. I'm not really contouring. I just want to brighten my face up a little bit. So I just barely dip. I've told you all, these colors are very pigmented. So I'm just going to barely dip one time. I don't really even have that much on my brush. Just dip in there one time. And then what I like to do is, I told you all that I've got a very thin face. I don't want to come too far down here, or it's going to look like my cheekbones are very hollowed out. I don't want that look. I want to look like I've got a little bit more to my cheeks. So instead of coming down here, I come up a little bit higher right here. Kind of along where like my hairline would start here. And I just kind of dab that in very lightly. Okay. Now, if you do have a rounder, fuller face, then you may want to do yours more along this place to make it look like you've got a more chiseled look. But again, if you're like me and you've got a bit of a narrower face, you want to come up a little bit higher with that bronzer. Okay, let me do the other side. Again, just barely dipping in there. Now, the day I'm filming this, you all, this is the first official day of daylight savings time ending. How are y'all doing? Do you feel like you've lost that hour of sleep? I certainly do. Probably why I'm drinking on that coffee this morning. Now, what I'm going to do now is I just dipped one more time into that bronzer, and then I do like to do a little bit of bronzer up along my hairline. Again, this just kind of bronzes up the face, gives it a little bit more color. Also, for people like me that have a higher forehead, this can help disguise the look so much of a higher forehead. Now, I'm not going to dip into my color again, but what I also like to do is I'll take that brush and I'll run it along my jawline there. That kind of helps to hide if you're got a little bit of a double chin, and then I'll also take it along the sides of my nose. Again, I didn't dip into any color again. I'm just using what's remaining on my brush. All right, and that's got my bronzer. Beautiful. Starting to brighten up that face a little bit. Anyway, daylight savings time. You know, I know that they've talked about maybe eventually doing away with it and just having us permanently on daylight savings, so we'll get to enjoy a little bit of daylight. I don't know if that will ever happen, you all, but I certainly do like the longer daylight days. This is not my favorite time. Okay, blush, I'm going to stay with that same palette. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going for a more neutral look today. I'm going to use this one right here. This was the Pink Sand. This was the same one I was wearing last week. And same thing. This is very pigmented. I only dipped into that one time, very little bit on my brush. How I like to apply blush is come up a little bit toward the back here and then work my way down. As we get older, you know, we were always told to apply blush on the apples of our cheeks. Well, here's the thing. If I did that, if I smiled and I put it on the apple of my cheek, when I quit smiling, that blush is going to be down here. I've seen lots of tutorials where they talk about that, and it's so true. So instead, we're wanting to lift things up a bit. So that's why when I do blush, I come back here, and then I start bringing it in a bit, okay? Same thing on the other side. I'm just gonna dip very lightly into that pink sand and do the same thing. I always start toward the back, and then I start working my way in. And notice again, I'm just kind of doing small little dabbing motions there. You know, I'm not really doing streaks like this. Now, when I want to start maybe shearing it out a little bit, then I will come back in and just kind of blend that all. Looks really pretty. Love that color. Okay, and that's it with blush. Last thing will be our highlighter. And again, I'm still using that same palette. Why I love this palette. But I think today I'm going to use Starlight. And let me show you the brush I'm going to use for that. I like to, when I do my highlighter, I like to use a fanned brush. This is from Eco Tools, and this is the Sculpt and Highlight brush. So same thing, you all. I just barely dip my brush into that, kind of swoop it along there. And then I'm going to come back and apply that just a little bit higher than I did my blush. And again, I just kind of started with dabbing motions, and then I'm going to blend that in. It kind of comes down into my blush, which is the look that I like. I think that looks a little more natural. Then I'm going to dip into it again, dip into that, and then bring that along this side. And it's a very subtle highlight. You've got to be very careful with highlighter. You know, sometimes when you're looking at it, you may think, did I even just put some on? And you'll put on a bunch more, and then you get out in a natural light, and it's like, whoa, I should have quit while I was ahead. Now, I also like to take just a little bit more of that highlighter, and I'll bring it down the bridge of my nose, and then onto my Cupid's bow there. That just helps to, again, open up the face there a little bit. There we go. That's looking really nice. All right, so that has got my cheeks taken care of. Now we're going to move into the eyes. After I have applied my blush, bronzer, and highlighter, that's when I like to work on my brows next. We are going to be using the L'Oreal Brow Stylist. We're going to be using that one. Again, this is in the shade Light Brunette. I am using the Light Brunette right now. What I'll do before I even get into doing the color on my brows is I do need to brush through them a little bit, get them into a good place. What I use for that is a brush like this. You all, I don't even honestly know where I got this. I want to say this may actually be Walgreens brand. You know, you can get these just about anywhere, but I like this little spoolie. I also use this brush on the other end to do my highlight in my brow and my inner corner here. So I use this for a couple of different things. So what I'll do is I'll take the brush, and first I like to brush my lashes up, and then I'll come and I'll kind of lay them down flat. I just start at the top and just kind of lay them down a little bit. That is truly all I do. Then the same thing. Also, I do like to brush them forward first. That kind of gets them, you know, in a good arrangement. Then I'll brush up, and then I'll come across. So then once I've kind of combed through them, got them in a good order there, I'll come in with my pencil, okay? And what I like to do is I don't go for doing a thick line up and down and then filling it in. I don't think that looks natural for me, for my look that I like. What I'll do is I just kind of start in the middle here, and I just kind of do quick little motions and just kind of start coloring him in where my natural hair is. And this kind of just starts to give me a good shape. Now here I do need to fill in a little bit. I don't have a whole lot in the front here, so I'll fill that in a little bit. And then just start coming toward the back. I honestly really don't have a good eyebrow, what would be a good word I'm looking for, style that I do. I just kind of fill in where I think it needs to be filled in and stop when I think it looks good. Now, as I get toward the back, I do kind of come in smaller little motions. Yeah, that looks good. Then I'll do the same thing on the other side. Just again, doing small little motions. Don't want it to look unnatural. I'm just kind of increasing the color here. Coming up a little bit more in the front where I need a little more help. It's funny, we all have different areas of our eyebrow that we need a little more help with than others. I've seen some people that literally don't have any hair right back up here. I'm fine there. Mine seems to be more toward the front. But just kind of coloring those in, increasing the look of my eyebrows here, making it look very natural. Again, I don't want it to look like, try to think of those movies back in the days like that had Betty Davis or some of those old-time actresses where they literally had like a line drawn on. Didn't look natural at all. I want mine to look very natural. That looks good. Let me come up just a little bit more in the front here where, again, I don't have a whole lot. Okay. Then once I'm done with that, at this point this looks good, but I feel like it looks like I've drawn on eyebrows. So to make that look more natural, on the other side of my eyebrow pencil here is a spoolie. And I'll use this spoolie to come back in and then comb that through. Just kind of comb that through. That doesn't take away any of the color. I'm just kind of brushing up, and then where my eyebrows are sticking up, I'll brush that down just a little bit. Kind of that feathery look, which is actually kind of popular right now. That's the look I prefer. Same thing on this side. I'll just kind of brush them up a bit. Brush all that up. Blending that color in. And then coming back and then just kind of pushing that down a bit. Kind of making a nice little formation there for my eyebrow. Awesome. That looks really good. Anywhere if I think I see a little bit of a color, a little bit where it looks like too much of a line, I'm going to come back and just blend that. The other thing I do with my eyebrows is I do come in and I set it with my gel here. This is the NYX Control Freak Eyebrow Gel. This is a clear gel, and I'll just come in with this and just kind of run that in through the lashes. And that just kind of helps to set everything I just did. Keeps my eyebrows from getting too crazy looking. I don't have very crazy eyebrows by any means, but if I've worn sunglasses or something, sometimes they'll get a little crazy looking there. Okay, and the other side. There we go. And just put that in up here. All right, and that's it. That's it for the eyebrows. Now, I know it took me a little while to do that. As everything else I'm showing right here, when I'm getting ready for work in the morning, you all, I'm doing this all pretty quickly. And I've got everything, in a good place to pick all this up. The eye palette, you're probably not going to be surprised when I show you the eye palette I'm going to use. I went on and on about this one last week. We're going to use the Urban Decay Naked Cherry palette. Last week, I had a very cherry eye looking eye. I don't need this week, you all. I already have this dye. I need to try to get anything I can away from that redness. So I'm going to do a very neutral look with this today. And I wanted to show you that anyway, to show you all that in this palette, obviously, you've got some shades in here that are going to be more of your pink, cherry, cranberry tones. But then we also have some neutrals. So I want to show you a look we can create with that. I always start with my transition, and the brush I'm going to use for that, I always use a good blending brush. This, I believe I actually got in an Ipsy bag. This is from Luxie Pack and Shade. So just anything that's got a bristle like that, where you've got lots of, motion to be able to blend that in. I'm going to start in my transition. I think I'm going to start with this shade right here in my transition. And this is called Caution. Remember, I love the names of these. I'm going to start with Caution for my transition. And I just put on a bit. Okay. And then what I like to do when you're doing your transition shade, if you have hooded eyes, you don't want to come right into the crease here. Because when you open your eye, you're not going to be able to see that. We need to create a crease. So I'm actually going to come above, almost right here to where my brow bone is. So I'm going to start right up there. And what I do is I kind of do window washer motions here, going back and forth from one side of the eye to the other. Okay, not a lot of color. We're just kind of starting to build up that color. Let me do the same on the other side. Just put on a little bit of color there. You don't want to start with a lot on your brush. It's easier to build up then if you put on way too much, it's hard to remove that. It's hard to cover that up. Okay, and these colors are fairly pigmented. Okay, so that just kind of gets us building up that transition. Very pretty. Then in my corner, let me see what I want to use here. I think in my corner, I'm going to use this color right here. And this is called Devilish. Devilish. And what I like to use when I put color in my corner is a brush like this. This is also from LaRousse, and this is just called Shadow. Just called Shadow. But what I like about it is it's a little bit more condensed brushes, and it's a very narrow brush, so I can kind of put it exactly where I want it. So I'm just going to dip into that Devilish just a little bit, and then kind of apply it in this area right here. I'll start down here and then build it up. Don't come all the way up. Let me show you here. So I just kind of start applying that and then bringing it up into that transition shade. And I'm just doing light little packing motions. And at first it's going to look a little odd, but then I do blend it in. I'll show you all what that looks like. Make sure I got plenty right there. Okay. And then let me do that on the other eye. Dip back in again and apply that to that side. Kind of in that outer third, I guess. If you're a math person like me, you kind of like fractions. So I'd say that outer third there. Kind of packing that in there. Okay, so right now that's obviously not looking very well blended. What I'll do is I'll take another blending brush, not the same one I've already used. I'm going to use this one right here. This is from Farrah, and this is called, well, it doesn't even have a name on it. It's a blending brush. What I'll do is I take that brush and I kind of start out in this corner, and I'll start blending that in. Just kind of like that. Same window washer motions. Now, I'm not really taking that all the way in. Just kind of blending that back and forth. Starting to try to make that look a little bit more like it blends in with the other color I've got in there instead of it standing out so much. Okay, let me do the other side. Same thing. I love doing makeup with brushes. Before, well, I told you all, before I really got into upping my makeup game, I always used those little, what would you call them? Those little eye applicators that came with the eyeshadow, and it wasn't really blended in by any means. I never really used brushes until I kind of got into doing this, and it just makes it look so much nicer. Blends it in so well. And you can buy brushes just about anywhere. You don't have to spend a lot, or, if you're kind of wanting to get a little bit more high-end, they do sell some high-end brushes. I have not really gotten into that yet, but I have a feeling I probably will down the road. So, liking how that looks. Very nice. Okay, now we need to add some shimmer to this. And I think I'm going to start on the outer shimmer here with this color. I kind of just want to use it because I like the name of it. It's this one right here. And this one is called Drunk Dial. I didn't make these names up, you all, okay? This is Urban Decay, Drunk Dial. Yeah, that's the name of it. It's a little bit darker, a little bit of a darker shimmer there. So shimmers I always like to apply with my fingers. So I dipped into that color right there. And then I'll just kind of gently press it. I don't come all the way out to the corner. Kind of go more toward the middle there. And just kind of pat that down. Okay. And that actually really doesn't have a ton of shimmer to it. It's a little bit more than a matte shade would be. Let me do the other side here. Same thing. Really pretty color. I like that a lot. Kind of a dark, very dark, cherry brownish color. Yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, then let's go ahead and brighten up my inner eyelid here, and I think I'm going to go in with this shade right here, and this one is called Turn On. I didn't make these names up, remember, Turn On. Now when I do my inner shimmer, I always use my pinky for that, so I'm going to go in with my pinky. Got a little bit there on my pinky, and then I close my eyelid and I just come right into the front here. Really like to use a light color here because that really opens up the eye. Put a little bit more on. Oh yeah, that's really pretty. Okay, the sty is not helping matters here. I apologize, you all, but really like how that looks. Okay, let's do the other side. Use my other pinky here. This is looking good so far. Now, I'm not quite done yet. Lots of times what I like to do is I like to block in my corner here. That kind of just gives me some good definition in my eyes. I mean, honestly, I could leave this alone right now. It would look just fine. I do like to block in my color a little bit. So what I'll do is I take this same brush again, that one I used for my corner color, and sometimes I'll use the same color that I used for the corner. Sometimes I'll go in with something a little bit darker. I think I'm going to go in with a little bit more brown color. Because remember, this ended up looking a little bit more red than I kind of wanted it to. Remember, I'm trying to distract from this sty right now. So I'm going to come in with this last color right here. And this is called Privacy. Now, when I do this, when I block in this color, I don't use much color at all. I just barely dip into it. And I'll close my eye and I kind of angle my brush up toward this corner right here, kind of going lateral with the end of my eyebrow here, and I'll just kind of dab that on. Okay, just right there in that corner. Like I said, blocking that in. Now you'll notice it looks like a very defined line right now. Don't worry, I'm going to blend that, okay? Let me do the other side first. I like to do both sides and then blend. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just kind of position my brush and then just pack it right on there. And when I put this color on, I only put it on the edge of that brush. That's where I put the color. Okay, so then I'm just putting that right there. And you'll notice I'm kind of starting right down here at the lash line and then just bringing it up a little bit. Okay, now, obviously I need to blend that. So I'm going to take that same blending brush, the one that I used to blend in that corner color. Let me find that. I'm going to bring that. How I blend this in is I'm going to close my eye. I position that brush right there, and I just do circular motions. Now, I'm not dragging it. I'm just literally right on top of that color and just kind of blending it like that. Like I said, little circular motions. And that will stay right where it is, but that just helps to blend it. So again, it doesn't look so stark. Okay, Lynn, let me do the same to the other side, and I'll kind of just put my brush right there and just doing little circular motions to blend that. Again, I don't always do this, especially if I'm running late for work. I don't do this step. But if I've got a little extra time and I really want that added look, then yes, I will do this. And we're just doing a get ready with me. I got all the time in the world right now. But I do like to mention with you all getting ready for work in the morning, because that was one of my goals I wanted to let you guys know about, getting ready on limited time. So let me just blend that a little bit more. Oh yeah, I really like how that looks. It just gives a little more definition there. And once we put on mascara, that's going to really look nice together. All right, very good. Okay, now one more thing. I do need to do my highlight, my brow and my tear duct area. So for that, again, I use this brush right here, the one I think I got from Walgreens. And the shade I'm going to use for that is going to be this one right here, Hot Spot. Hot Spot. And so I'll take the end of this brush, I'll dip that in. Don't get a whole lot, I just kind of dab it in there. Come up, and typically first I'll do my eyebrow lid, and I'm just going right along my eyebrow there. Same on the other side. That just kind of helps to give you some added light there. You know, as we get older, we want to add more lightness to our face. So that looks good. Then I'll take the tip of that, dip it in there again, and this is when I do my tear duct right there. This one definitely needs it. I got a little bit of redness there, again, from that sty. Okay, dip in just, sometimes I'll dip in a couple of times just to get some added color. Very nice, very pretty. All right, and that's it with our cherry palette. Then I am going to go ahead and do eyeliner for you all. I'm going to use, this was the Pixie one. This is in the shade Bronze Beam. So let me show you how, if I do wear an eyeliner, let me show you all how I like to apply this. We don't have a lot of lid space, so I don't want to do a real strong coat. So how I like to do my eyeliner, let me get my mirror up here, is I just come right along the lash line, get as close to that lash line as I can, and I just do little, again, little motions there. I'm trying to get as close to those lashes as I can, and just doing little dots of color. So it's not a stark line. Okay, just little dabs there. And I really like this color. It's not too dark, but I feel like it gives just a little bit of definition there. Once I put my mascara on, it really helps those lashes to look a little bit thicker. So let me do the other side here. Go. While I'm doing this, let's talk about shows. That's something else I wanted to talk about. What do you guys like to watch? Now, I'll go ahead and tell you all, I quit cable before quitting cable was cool. I mean, my husband and I have not had cable for years. So we pretty much watch things on streaming services. Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus. We do have Disney Plus, Amazon Prime. Love to watch shows on those. One show I'm really enjoying right now, before I get into that, I'll keep you all suspenseful. Ooh, what's she like? Let me show you the mascara I'm going to put on. This is the Lash Paradise. One show I'm really enjoying right now, it's been around for a while, it's very popular, Schitt's Creek. That show is hilarious. Hilarious. By the way, let me interrupt for a moment. I didn't show you all this yet. This is what that wand looks like on the L'Oreal Lash Paradise. When I first saw this wand, I thought, I'm going to poke my eye out. It's huge. I've never used a mascara wand this big before. You'd be amazed, though, how well this does at applying mascara to all of your lashes. So if you don't have a lot of lashes, this does a great job distributing the product onto them. So I just take it very slowly, but it actually is not as difficult as you would think. So anyway, Schitt's Creek, hilarious show. It is on Netflix. I'm only in, I think, season 2, but love that show. I mean, I just laugh out loud. Love the characters in there, and they're all such good actors and actresses. They just really play well off of each other. There's that first lash. The other show, I'm so excited. At the time I'm filming this, I'll admit to you all, it hasn't come out yet. I film ahead of time. But when this airs, it will have come out. The Mandalorian. Oh, yes. We love The Mandalorian. Cannot wait. Well, let me say it this way. My husband loves The Mandalorian. I love Baby Yoda. Oh, I do. I know. I know everybody's in love with Baby Yoda. I am right there with the rest of the crowd. Love Baby Yoda. I'm so excited. So excited for that to start. I mean, that just makes the rest of this year seem bearable. I think I can get through 2020 knowing that The Mandalorian is going to take me through a whole lot of it. Something to look forward to every Friday. Love that show. I grew up on Star Wars. You know, Star Wars came out, I think, in 75. I would have been 3. I mean, I can remember going and seeing every single one of the movies when they came out. We were big Star Wars fans. Okay, let me interrupt with makeup, since this is a makeup channel. I've done one coat of mascara. I always go back and do a second coat. Now, when I do the second coat, I don't dip back in. I just take what's remaining on the brush. I'll come back and I'll just apply a little bit more. And you all might be able to see why I love this mascara. I mean, I'm hoping that it shows up on camera well. Look at how much that just increased the volume of my lashes. I mean, before this, you probably couldn't even see my lashes. Well, now you can see them. Oh, yeah. They look really good. Okay, I'm going to pause here, go fix my hair, and when I come back, we will do my lipstick. All right, so I got my hair in place. You all, I'm so sorry about this sty. When I went and did my hair, realized how horrible this looks. I hope that one day I get to look back on this video, maybe well into my YouTube future, and think, remember that first Get Ready With Me that I did and I had that big old sty on my eye and people still watched? Hopefully We'll look back and laugh at this. Let's move on to the lips. So, lip liner, I typically apply my lip liner after I put on my lipstick, but I'm gonna go in this order today, just to kind of keep it a little bit more flowing. Of course, this is the MAC Whirl. Y'all probably knew this is the one I was gonna show. This is the MAC Whirl liner. Don't worry, I promise I do have other lip liners that I'll be showing you all. This just happens to be the one that's been getting a lot of attention right now. So I'm gonna come in and I'll just start right around the edge of my lip here. One thing I will say about this pencil, it does have a drier texture to it. I think that's another reason why I like to put it on after I put my lipstick on. And I also don't like to go a lot outside of the lines. Boy, my lips are very dry right now. I typically put some gloss on while I'm putting my makeup on, just to kind of keep my lips hydrated. I kind of forgot to do that in this video. Next time we'll do it. Okay, just kind of go back over that. Okay, then the lipstick that I'm going to put on today, I am going to be using my drugstore lipstick. It is the one by NYX, and I'm using that shade Eurotrash. Let me put that on for you. Okay, and I'll just come in. Now, I've used this lipstick a lot. That looked good. I honestly wasn't quite sure how this was going to look with this this eye look I created. I really like this, actually. This looks pretty. Yeah, you know, kind of rub my lips together. There we go. Now, this is a matte lipstick. I like how this looks, but it is a little drying, so I think we need a little bit of gloss. And I'm going to use this one from Milani, the Ludicrous one in She's All That. I think I used this one back in my fall look that I did a couple weeks ago. So let's just put, and I really like the applicator. It's got this doe foot applicator. I don't have very many glosses that have applicators like this. I like it a lot. I don't go all over my lip. I just go right in the middle here. So a little bit right there. A little bit right there in the middle. And that just really increases the volume of my lip. And I think it also helps just make it look a lot more hydrated. Okay, let's take a look at this final look here. So my side angles, look at the eyes. And there we go. I just love this look. I think it's a great neutral look that I was able to create from that cherry palette. Love the lip look with this. Yeah, this looks really good. And I think this is a good fall look. And, you know, considering the sty there, I mean, yeah. Anyway, it is what it is, kids. I think that's my theme of 2020, by the way. It is what it is. Just go with the flow. And that's it. I hope you all enjoyed this first Get Ready With Me. Like I said, this is something I'm going to start doing about once a month. Hopefully they will not be as long as this, because I was talking a lot about how I apply different products. Now that I've gone through that, I won't be taking all that time. So I hope that you all have a great week. Have a great beginning to your November. And I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.